Coach, will you start it off with a brief statement, please?
Yeah, I thought, with some really good things happened tonight. I thought that the group that started the game, execution-wise, to start the game, getting off to a 19-3 or 18-3, whatever it was, lead. I thought offensively and defensively that group was phenomenal from an execution standpoint on both sides of the ball, and obviously some things we got to get better at: post defense, rebounding the basketball, turnovers. Although we did a much better job in the second half taking care of the basketball and getting a shot on goal. From a stylistic standpoint, obviously the three ball is something that's going to be extremely important to us, and 35 attempts from beyond the arc is a lot of attempts, but that's kind of who we're going to have to be. And then, I've told people that, for the last 5.5 months or 6 months, whatever, that we've been really physical with one another in practice, and I thought you saw that tonight with putting Little Rock on the line for 30 free throws attempted. We got to clean up our fouling, but early on we did want to be physical and kind of be a team that played with physicality, and now we got to clean it up and play without fouling.
You recently said that your dad came up with a stat or an observation: 3 big runs in a game. The team that controls two of those. You guys started 19-3. Second half, it was 21-6 to blow that open. Talk about that part of it. And was that an observation you noticed that really led to the win? Yeah, because
they did make a run on us. There towards the end of the first half after we got up big 19-3, and when you shoot a lot of threes, that can happen, and so. When you bang 2 or 3 threes and then you're able to get some defensive stops, or your defense can create a steal, that's kind of who we're going to have to be. We're not going to be a grinded-out half-court team. But I did feel, and our staff felt, that from an execution standpoint, we got some really, really good, clean looks out of some half-court sets, which we didn't know, being new, if we were going to be able to execute stuff. When you're putting stuff in, sometimes you get 3 or 4 guys execute, and then one guy kind of forgets, and it blows the whole play up. But I thought, again, early on, that group that started was phenomenal. Getting even the shots that we missed, I thought we had some really good looks.
Yeah, so Desi got a limp, and I guess his right calf or ankle or something. Do you know what his injury is, or what? Any
cramps?
Okay, so
yeah.
So that's nothing too serious, I guess.
No, we're not too worried about it.
Yeah, that's good. And then
got to get him some potassium, Bob.
So
eat some.
Yeah, so Isaiah, 17 attempts is a lot, but he hit 8, so that's pretty good. Just what do you think of his efficiency, I guess, from three-point line? And do you really think, 35, that might be the norm for you guys?
It might be. I don't know what the most we shot at Nevada, but I asked Hayes Myers during the game when I looked at the stat sheet during the timeout, and I thought we were on pace at one point to take 40, and I think he thought that 34 was the most we took at Nevada in 4 years. So I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, we might be a high-volume three-point attempt team. That just might be who we are.
And Isaiah,
I thought he was awesome. I have a buddy that I have great respect for, a guy that was a former assistant coach, Aubrey McCreary, who was with the Cavs as an assistant, and I actually brought him in to watch 2 practices prior to this game, watch this game, and watch us on Monday and Tuesday again, just to give me an outside kind of consultant-type look. And he was at dinner last night, and he said 15, and I said, what's 15? He said, that's how many 3 balls you're going to need Isaiah to take. He was pretty prophetic in that we needed him to take a lot of threes.
Just to follow up on Zay, he didn't finish the game on the floor. Was that something to do with just looking at different guys trying to finish a game?
Yeah, no, all that was, Kevin, really was just, some guys, I let them play through mistakes after mistake after mistake that normally we won't do. But I took Jimmy and Isaiah out, and then obviously when Jalen fouled out, we put Jimmy back in. But I felt those guys had done their work, had done their job. We were able to evaluate them. Certainly wanted to win the game tonight, although we know it doesn't count. But having said that, we also wanted to look at different combinations and some things as well. And So that was why we wanted some guys needed some extra run or burn or whatever you want to call it.
Did you like the way that you melted the clock there at the end on the last few possessions and got good looks? And also, how do you think you did against the press that they had?
Oh, we were abysmal against the press. But, again, it's early, and historically we've been phenomenal against the press. I thought we made a little bit of adjustment, had a lob when we had numbers for Ethan, and just didn't come down, catch it cleanly. But that's something that should not bother us. It hasn't bothered our teams in the past, but I thought from a spacing standpoint, we looked disorganized against their press, and it's also hard to play with the lead, quite frankly, with any team. Give Coach Walker's team a lot of credit. They did not stop playing. He tried to junk it up a little bit with the press, and they bothered us. So that's great. Now we can go back and watch it and look at the turnovers and meet with guys individually and show our team we can't have our off guard inbound the ball against the press when the two-man's supposed to be the second outlet. So we'll be able to show a particular player that and reinforce how we're supposed to execute.
Curious for your impressions of Jimmy tonight, the way he initiated the offense and hit the glass.
It's not often that when you're recruiting and you're trying to put together a roster late, there's not a lot of options. We felt Jimmy was as good, if not the best fit that we could get from a guard standpoint because of his ability to rebound. There was other players that might have been good shooters or really good ball handlers, but believe it or not, we actually feel like Jimmy Witt is as good, if not the best rebounding point guard in the nation. He did it last year. If you look at his rebounds per minute, if you watch film of him, he's got an incredible nose for the ball, and we lack rebounding. And so we have a point guard that goes out tonight and leads us in defensive rebounding, and that's probably not going to be the last time that I bring that up. What's up, Kev?
To follow up on Jimmy, I just wanted to say, it looked to me like when he drove into the paint and kick out, drove into the paint, it seemed like some guys drive in and maybe get tied up with the ball. He did a good job, it looked to me, of getting guys that were open. Is that something he brings as a point guard skill that you knew about when you watched him, or is there some surprise there?
Not really. I mean, I think he's, I think early on in his career, he was kind of a combo guard. And as time has developed, he's turned into a true point guard, a pass-first point guard. And, we're hopeful that he and Jalen, J5 together, will be able to be really, really good point guards for us.
Yeah, just wonder what your thoughts were on the pregame ceremony, how the Nolan Richardson Court looks. And, Mike Anderson came back, and just wonder what you thought about it. Did you get to talk to Mike? Just what you think about that? Because some guys in his situation, they probably would have been bitter and not come back,
Yeah, no, I thought, first of all, I think the court looks awesome. I think administration did a phenomenal job. Everything, even the lane, I think looks better. The logos that they put down, I know that's what, the fans wanted. And it's a classy look, the way they did it. Coach Richardson, legendary coach. I mean, it's kind of a little bit unique. First time I step out on the floor, and then I'm looking out there and Todd Day and Corey Beck and all these dudes that that I have incredible admiration for, and then obviously with Coach Anderson, I think it's awesome that he and his wife were able to come back and participate in the event. And I'm new to it. I just kind of stood back and watched and was just appreciative that the student athletes and our staff were a small part of it.
Question for Coach, Bob?
I might get a two for one then. What did Tom was talking about? He was really appreciated you guys bringing him here, and he was excited to play his first game in a Razorback uniform. Kind of what you think of his game? And Mason Jones kind of had an uncharacteristically bad shooting night. But he got in foul trouble. What you think of his game?
Yeah, I mean, we need Mason to be a guy that's reliable from a consistency standpoint. In the throwback game, turnovers and stuff, and then tonight some turnovers, but we need Mason. We need him to play with great consistency because he's another three-point threat for us, and he can play different positions for us and so forth. And then the first one was Scylla. I thought JC was awesome because he just kind of blends in. And then you look at the stat sheet and you're like, oh, he rebounded the ball pretty decent. He made some shots. He's second or third leading scorer. I thought he did a really, really good job for us tonight because it's not easy. I mean, we had a great crowd. I mean, for an exhibition game, that's a great crowd. Like, I mean, I didn't go home. Normally I go home between shoot around, and I walked around campus for about 50 minutes today with my son, and we got done with our, 2 hours before. I mean, there's pretty good size amount of people out there, which is unique for an exhibition game. And then you start wondering, butterflies with a new guy like Scylla and so forth. And I thought he really responded great in his first game. And obviously Jimmy's played here before, but it was new for Scylla, and I thought he was really good.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, you guys.